Call the meeting to order. First order of business is our superintendent's comments.
Well, good evening, board. Thank you for being here this evening. February is quickly flying by. Want to remind you of a few events. The Star Student and Star Teacher Banquet is coming up on Monday, February 26th at 6 p.m. at the Jefferson Civic Center. And also want to call your attention to the BOE work session / retreat on March 15th. And we'll have more details regarding that retreat and some of the things that will be presented, and potentially a little field trip or two to some different schools. So we'll have more information on that forthcoming. Lots of activities going on right now between basketball finishing up. East Jackson Middle School, I think they finished the Pac-9 league runner-up. The wrestling had 2 kids place in the Peach State individuals. And Legacy Knoll and West Jackson Middle, actually their middle school teams won the Peach League duels and finished 3rd in the middle school state duels, so 3rd place in the state. Great accomplishment for their middle school. East High's boys and girls, and Jackson County, their boys and girls basketball teams are going to start region tournament in the next week or so. Wrestling finished 2nd in the area at East, and all weight classes advanced to sectionals. Swim team had their first female in school history qualify for the state meet and performed well there yesterday. Jackson County High School boys wrestling finished top 6 in the state 6A duels while having 11 individual qualifiers for the sectionals. The girls wrestling finished 2nd in the area with sending 6 to state sectionals. Swim team had 11 swimmers placed in the state meet at Georgia Tech, and the course also had 4 students make all-state course, and we'll continue to recognize those students at board meetings. We'll have some of those students who are going to be with us on Monday night. Also, Jackson County Student Leadership Team, or Jackson Student Leadership Team, comprised of seniors from both East and Jackson County High School, toured the Capitol last week, meeting with state leadership and seeing legislature in action while touring the National Center for Civil and Human Rights. We also had a number of students who participated last week at ThesCon, and I think Jackson County High School actually had a big performance at that conference. So lots of great things going on as we head into the spring. So that concludes my comments. Dr. Hardigree, you're up.
Good evening. It's great to see you all. And as we head it through February, it is great to see our teaching and learning team has been out spending a lot of time in PLCs and getting into classrooms. And it's exciting to see the work going on as we head into spring. And tonight I have just a couple of things that I wanted to bring to you for updates. First of all, if the team could get our presentation up there. There we go. One more slide. As you all know, we did a lot of work this summer kind of shoring up our curriculum. And one of the areas that, well, of course, we've been highly focused on K-12 literacy. And we recognized in our work that writing was an area where we could really use some K-12, just solid curriculum, the language of writing, and common assessments. So I wanted to give you an update on how that's going, if you'll advance one more slide. One of the things that we implemented was the Right Score assessment and curriculum resources. And so I just wanted to share a little bit more with you now that we've done several assessments at every grade level, or not several at every grade level, but we've done quite a few assessments, and many grade levels have now had a second assessment. This is both, as I mentioned, a curriculum resource, so there's a portal with access to a lot of resources for our teachers and just kind of a common curriculum. And one thing that we've learned about writing is when we speak the same language to kids from kindergarten through 12th grade, instead of them having to kind of relearn how is my teacher going to approach this year, it really helps them grow and progress. And one of the other pieces that we recognized when we kind of did our assessment and our curriculum audit is we didn't have an assessment that really mirrors what we asked students to do on that end of course or end of grade test on the Georgia Milestones, where they have to do a lot of text-based writing. And so we wanted to make sure that we were presenting our kids with what they kind of see at that end game assessment all throughout the year, and that was woven into their experience so that by the time they get to the Georgia Milestones, that's something that they're very familiar with and capable of doing. So linked in here, and we can click into that, just kind of gives you a quick overview of the different assessments at each grade. In our lower grades, we just kind of are getting them started. Mostly we just wanted the curriculum resources in place so that they could start that language in the early grades, build that foundation, but they are getting and it's very grade level appropriate. It's just like what you would imagine in kindergarten with the big box and the lines, and they're scored. It's very aligned to the standards. You know, are they able to form letters? Are they able to draw pictures to tell a story? But then it progresses all the way in alignment to the standards all the way through 12th grade. And then if you'll go back to the presentation. And that just gives you a sample writing task. That's one from advanced comp, so high school task there, but it asks the students to read multiple texts and then form that opinion essay based on that. And again, it just exactly mirrors what is expected of students on the milestones assessment. You can go ahead and advance another slide there. And then the best part is our teachers get really personalized data back. So the students take this assessment and then it's sent off, and raters, scorers who are well trained in this and calibrated, rate this just exactly the same way the milestones assessment would be rated. And then they send back this data that's just very useful to our teachers. And so in those PLCs, they're able to really sit down and look at where their kids are strong, where they're having some challenges, and then group students and even tailor the resources according to what the needs are of the students. So they have found this to be really helpful in calibrating the way they score writing, having that outside observer, helping them have those conversations in their professional learning communities about, okay, your kids are doing really well on this. How can I work with my kids to make sure that we're also hitting that? And then also just conferencing with students and saying, okay, we really need to work on developing ideas, or we really need to work on that conclusion, so that it just gives them some really good data to be able to use in the instruction. So those are some of the best practices that we've been seeing, is that our students or that our teachers are using that to plan their small group instruction. And then they're also giving students the opportunity to see how their essay was scored, go back and make revisions, because as we know, when students can see the end target, if they know, well, this is how things are going to be scored, they can meet that target. And so it's just giving them that information ahead of time so that they can really be well prepared. And it's, you know, it's one of those skills that is just so helpful all throughout life, to be able to read something, formulate an idea, and be able to write about it within that time frame. You can go ahead and move back to the presentation there and advance one more for me. So now that some of our grade levels have done 2 assessments, we are seeing a pretty significant increase in how they're performing on those. It's a 7-point rubric, just like the milestones, with 4 points to ideas, organization, and and then the 4-point is convention, so kind of more of the grammar and mechanics. But overall, our students, we have recognized we have room to grow, but if you look at this example from 9th grade literature, we had a 2.64 average in September, and then when they took another assessment in November, they had gone up significantly. So that's the great thing, is we're doing this early in the year, we're working with our kids, and we're really seeing their scores increase. So we feel like if we continue with this, we're really going to build our students in the area of writing and give them the tools that they need. So just wanted to give you an update on that, and also wanted to share with you another piece of that is we have a partnership with UGA and Class A, which kind of, it incorporates instructional conversations. If you'll go back one more back, I'm still on that last little bit there. So Kevin Rachinsky works with the UGA Class A team, and he's actually doing a research study with 12 of our teachers right now. And last year we did this in 5th grade. We've expanded to 6th grade. And what they're doing is they're using that right score pre-assessment. Then they're going in and really applying the strategies in Class A, the small group instructional conversations, working with the students in writing and applying those instructional strategies, and then using the right score post-test. So we're really excited to see how that plays out as well. Just wanted to give you an update on that piece that's going on as well.
And I think from a teacher standpoint, oftentimes teachers are thinking about, well, you're adding one more thing to my plate. And our goal for this is the kids are doing it in class, and we're sending it off, and it's being graded. So hopefully it's taking something off the teacher's plate and giving them more time just to teach. Because one of the things that's difficult, especially as you go up in grade levels, is the ability to give adequate feedback becomes challenging because teachers' days get crunched, their planning periods get crunched. And so the goal for this is to be able to have the kids be assessed on their writing and receive feedback in a timely manner back about how they did, so that the teachers it can help them make decisions moving forward. So I think it's one of those things where it's going to help teachers from a time management standpoint, which is one of the main reasons we went to it.
That's a good point. All right, so the next slide there, we wanted to just report some great news. Every year, the Georgia Department of Education reviews our special education data for disproportionality. So that would be looking at the way we identify students, placement of our students with specialized needs, and then also discipline. And the great news is there were no findings. So this is one of those where you want there to be no findings at all. So no significant disproportionality of students with disabilities for identification, placement, or discipline, and no disproportionate representation of any racial or ethnic group within that. So that's just really great news, and it shows the hard work of our school teams, our district teams, and just the way everybody's working together to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our students with disabilities. All right, and then finally, I'm going to share with you our technology networking RFP here in this summary, and I'll try not to mess this up, but any of those tech guys in the back that want to pipe in here, if I do mess something up, feel free to do that. So our district schools and buildings receive internet and wide area network service through federal program called E-Rate, as you probably know. And so E-Rate pays for 70% of the cost, and we pay for the remaining 30%. And our current contract is with ENA for these services. So since we're adding a new School Heroes, we felt like it was a good time to go ahead and rebid those services. So the RFPs were posted in December. Bids were due in January. Both Windstream and ENA submitted qualifying responses to the RFP. Since we currently have services with ENA, there was less required addition or construction to go with that. Also, so Windstream had significant construction costs that ENA did not have. So ENA is the preferred vendor after going through that process. And the technology team has a plan to make all of this happen over the summer so that the transition would be very seamless, not interrupting service anywhere. So it could start as early as April 1st, but would make sure that everything was complete and up and running by July 1st. So just looking to the future for that. So just kind of going through this, the total amount of the project after the E-rate reduction for FY25 would be $115,668, and for the wireless area network services, and $16,380 for the internet access. An important point here, though, is it more than doubles the bandwidth. And so technology would have to use the right terms for all of that, but it gives us a significant increase in the bandwidth, and it also takes us from currently our schools are connected to each other. This would take us from 8 to 14 access sites. I'm not sure I said that right. Technology, do you want to fix any of that? All right. All right.
just to clarify that piece. So right now, some of our schools are actually piggybacked through each other. So, for example, even at this location, Empower also services the central office. This would, in addition to doubling the bandwidth and significant increase there, would also give us an individual connection to every school and location. So going from 8 individual connections now to full 14 at all of our locations once they finish. So help with stability. If one school goes down, we would not lose connectivity at multiple locations, barring there's a fiber cut somewhere farther down the road.
Would this be enough, or whenever we have to add another school too, or we have to go back and expand it?
So we would add probably an additional location at that point if we add another school, but the bandwidth we feel like would be plenty. Yes, ma'am.
Great job.
Thank you. So this is for your information tonight and to vote on Monday, I believe. All right, that's it for me. Any questions that I probably can't answer? Thank you.
Ms. Todd?
I am excited to talk about all things HR this evening. Mr. Farmer asked me when I got here, what's going on in HR world? I said nothing. We're just hanging out. Not a busy time at all. But if you'll pull up the slides, I do have a couple of things to update you on this evening. You can go ahead and skip to that one. The personnel timeline. I love some check marks. So we are on track. We have met all of our target goals. You will see our final round of transfers for Heroes Monday night, and that will get all of our people hopefully settled for those that wanted to move. And I'm so excited about that because we will be at that point before we issue our contracts. So love the check marks. We've been on the road. Over the past 3 weeks, we have met about 70 candidates who are about to graduate with their teaching degrees, so that was very exciting. One has already been hired, and we have 5 scheduled for interviews in the coming days of those people that we met at those job fairs. Our JCSS career fair was extremely successful. We met 152 candidates, and that was for all positions. And I don't quite have the data on that yet, on how many individuals are in the queue to be hired, but the turnout was amazing, and I know that people were very, very pleased to see all of the people interested in our system. So big win on that one. I am so excited to say that we are way ahead in our hiring process this year. We have doubled the amount of new certified hires recommended by February than last school year. This is due to your support in allowing us to start that hiring process early for our known vacancies, resignations, retirements, and that also included those transfers for Heroes. So as we were transferring people and Heroes had a spot, we were able to just continually hire. So we are well ahead of our surrounding districts and where we're at hiring, and that is encouraging. And also encouraging is that our resignation and retirement numbers are lower right now than they were at this time last year. Some fun facts about our new hires, those 22. We have 1 brand new graduate, that was our job fair candidate. We have 3 out-of-state candidates, 1 from Texas, 1 from Tennessee, and 1 from South Carolina, who are all relocating to the area, and 18 teachers who are coming to us from other districts. So good little group so far of veterans and bringing things to us from other states that I'm sure will be a culture add and help us grow in some areas, and then always looking at our brand new teachers coming out of college. Retention data. Right now we are looking at a 98% retention rate. This is encouraging, but still very preliminary. Our overall retention rate for last year, that was asked, I think, Mr. Hollett, the last time I showed this data, so I made sure I had it for you tonight. 87% was our last year's retention data. The state average is about 86, so we were above state average, but definitely not where we would want to be. We saw a large number of resignations last year at our March meeting, which makes sense. That's contract time. So some people might be making decisions around that time. And then we had another big bump of resignations in May. And a lot of those, sometimes life changes, spouses are being transferred, some people are choosing to stay home after having children, things like that. But those were our 2 big board meetings where we saw resignations come in. But it's encouraging at where we are right now, because as you can see from those numbers, we're trending in the right direction. So I'm cautiously optimistic that our retention rate will be better than last year, but that 98% is very, very preliminary at this point. But I want you to see that because we are working on our 5-year strategic plan right now, and this is a huge focus. So recruitment, yes, always. We want to hire the best of the best. but we want to keep the best of the best. So this is a huge focus for our department in making sure we are putting just as much energy and effort into retaining our staff as we are to recruiting new ones. So hopefully this data will help us keep that at the forefront of our planning. And that's really all. Do you have any questions?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Todd. So can you tell us how ESS is doing?
ESS so far
Okay.
is doing very well. They have increased our the number of subs that they have hired. And so our principals are reporting that it is much better than it has been in the past. We have seasons where the flu and sickness impacts all of us. But the data, I've been very impressed. They have done what they've promised and almost doubled the amount of subs that we had. And so the pool is larger now for subs to pull from when those absences come in. And so far, our principals have been very, very complimentary of how they have been able to fill and keep. It's not as, they're not having to pull so many people to cover inside as they have been in the past. So very, very pleased with that progress. And the increase in pay for the subs that we went through also helped with that tremendously.
So does this is just certified employees?
For the retention data? Yes,
Yes.
sir. For now. I can get you classified. Just give me
I'll
some
ask
time.
David about all that.
Classified, honestly, classified staff is a little harder to track because those are so transient. So you almost have to choose a specific point of like, okay, we're going to see how many vacancies were on this day, because certified's pretty easy to track because they're under contract. So how many vacancies did we have at this day? How many fulfilled their contract? Classified might take a little bit longer to nail down to a true percentage. Any other questions?
So glad we have gotten ahead of surrounding county. We're probably 8 weeks, 2 months ahead of others, which means we have got to pick first. I'm speaking from experience. So,
You are correct. You are correct, Mr. Johnson. I had a phone call from a colleague who wanted to know how come if they were calling candidates and they were already being told they had a job in Jackson County. And I said, well, I don't know what to tell you other than we're ahead of the game right now. So and that's honestly because you have supported us making those hires earlier than we have in the past. So thank you. Any other questions? All right, well, I'll let Mr. Hooper come up, who did not get the memo about the black and pink attire for the evening.
Line. I was totally going to make that comment. So she took my line. It's salmon, so I'll kind of, but yeah, I'm pretty certain they took a photo together today. So, so like Ms. Todd said, we've been on the road. I really want to credit our instructional technology folks. One point that I was kind of driving home at job fairs, the career fairs we were at, was our new professional development platform that we have where staff can go in there and do professional development training. And those young, newly soon-to-be college graduates really liked the idea of having more professional development. They liked the culture that we're building inside Jackson County. So really want to credit the hard work by everybody there. Like Ms. Todd said, we're in the middle of our strategic plan, and so one focus obviously is family community engagement. And so I headed up that table last Friday during our action team, and we got a lot of really good work done. And so the first 2 items tonight are really related to family and community engagement and informing the community what's going on. So start tonight with some exciting news. Obviously, Heroes Elementary School is coming up, and so to kind of get them in a good spot so they can get a little bit of funds when the school opens, we've got the Dress Like a Hero Fun Run and 5K on Saturday, March 16th. That'll start at 8 a.m. in the back parking lot of Legacy Knoll. The back parking lot, of course, has a pretty good view to the building that's being built right now. And so we're going to, through the pre-registration process of that right now, and you could go to jacksonschoolsga.org/Hero 5K. The pre-registration for those in the community is important because it helps us track the numbers. It helps us know how many shirts we do order. We do have a cool logo and commemorative shirt, so we're looking forward to that. We've been partnering with local and state agencies to have a touch a truck on site. So young students who come to run either the fun run, which we're going to run around the football field at Legacy Knoll, or if they want to run the 5K. I mapped out the course last Saturday morning with Scott McCall from South Jackson, so thank him for the help there. And so we'll have a touch a truck so they can go and learn about the heroic careers. The Dress Like a Hero, we are asking them to dress like one of the 5 heroic careers. So firefighters, police, military, medical personnel, or teachers. And I think it'd be kind of fun to watch people running down Skelton Road with a bunch of different outfits on. So we're looking forward to that. All the proceeds will go to Ms. Holloway and Heroes so they can work on staff appreciation and staff development. Obviously, we are taking staff from 3 and more schools and combining to 1. So building that culture inside Heroes is super important, and having her to have some funds there to buy a lunch or, buy shirts for her staff as they build that at Heroes. So looking forward to that. Second item now I want to inform you is that we have over 30 local realtors who have already RSVP'd for a meeting on Wednesday the 21st at Jackson County High School. Ryan Lesniak, assistant principal at Jackson County High School, put this together, has brought me in to assist. It was a little bigger, I think, than what we originally planned. We're like, we'll get 10, we'll be good, and we're over 30. And so the goal of this meeting is to bring local realtors in who are selling the homes in that side of the area that is blowing up with the new construction, and to empower them with the correct information about our school system. So when they're, out selling the homes and someone asks about the schools, they're going to be empowered to have the right information. Obviously, in a very digital world, the information can get out there that isn't always right. So we want to make sure the right information's out there. So we have over 30 already RSVP'd. We're working on documents. Every school from our west side will be there, including Empower, to present and kind of go through the things that, their 3 points of pride about their school. They'll get a QR code. They'll get a copy of the annual report. So just really empowering these realtors to partner with us. And it's that big step of partnering, with community members to continuously promote our school system and the correct facts about it. So again, that'll be a big day for us on February 21st at Jackson County High School, and really looking forward to those realtors. Ryan Lesniak, assistant principal at Jackson County High School. So give him all the credit. And then, any more questions about that? Final thing is we were given a Gale Vision Award banner during the Winter Gale in Athens. The Gale Vision Award is designed to recognize systems and organizations who take advantage of the institutional membership with Gale. The award is called the Vision Award because Gale wants to recognize the vision of the school systems who saw the need and opportunity for leadership teams to be involved as a voice for public education in their statewide organization, which Gale is the Georgia Association of Educational Leaders. So we've got some new banner right here. I'm pretty certain Mr. Wester picked this up at Winter Gale. Is that correct? You're the one that got it? And so that's something else we can hang up in this one. I think this one's from the 2022-23 year, so we've got 2 back-to-back, so exciting times. So, any questions? You can you do like the salmon color tie. You can borrow it. I'll bring it. I'll be there about 6:30 that morning. You just let me know. But the course is really exciting. Like I said, Mr. McCall and I met about 7 a.m. Saturday morning, and we mapped it out. It's exactly 3.1 miles for the 5K. You'll do a couple laps around Jackson County High School and incorporate the track and down to the visitors parking lot back up. And the start and finish will be right there in that back parking lot. And you can see the brick on the back. And if anybody drove by Heroes, we had a 300-ton crane out there this week with the HVAC, so that was cool photos, and that was a cool sight to see at Jackson County High School today as well. So I think it'd be exciting to have that finish line there and be able to see the building. You can do that too. You do a couple out, If you run around that football field enough times, you'll get a mile, So thank you, guys.
Good evening. I get to talk about something that isn't on anyone's mind, enrollment and growth. I think it's a great opportunity for us to look at what the data actually tells us, right? I think we all have an impression in our mind. We see neighborhoods going up. We see the traffic and things that are happening, and we hear about students enrolling, but the data does tell us a story, right? And it gives us really the facts. And that's really what this is about tonight. I just wanted to share a few things with you as we move forward to kind of, if anything, reinforce what you already know, which is that our system is growing really, really fast. And that's a great opportunity for us as we move forward to try to be as prepared as possible to meet and address the needs of the students that will be joining us, as well as the students that we already have. Starting with our enrollment account, which we give you each and every month, the current count as of this meeting is 10,732 students in the Jackson County school system. And that is an increase of 632 students from the end of last year. Our enrollment has grown about 6.2%, 6.26 actually, this year so far, with a few months still to remain. And we've actually grown, I believe it was 17 students from last month, and we are up almost 100 students from December. So we do see quite a few students joining us each and every day, and we're excited to welcome them into Jackson County. That being said, as we look at the trend, we wanted to look at that and just share a few thoughts with you. The next slide there shows how our enrollment has grown from fiscal year 2014 to today. We were at 7,304 students in FY14. And as of last month, we were at 10,715 students. As you can see, the graphs just keep coming up, don't they? They keep growing. And so what we did then is we said, all right, well, we know we're growing, but how does that compare, right? Are we growing as fast as we think we are compared to some of our neighbors and other systems that are also considered to be growing? So if you look at the next chart, you can see that over the last 5 years from the actual enrollment count that was taken by the state in October of 2018 to the October count of 2023, Jackson County has grown from 7,938 to 10,524 students. That represents a 32.5% increase in our enrollment. Comparing that with other districts, even those that are growing, it is a startling number, to be clear. Our neighbors to the south, Barrow County, has grown about 8.68%. We see Clark County has actually lost students, right? About 9% of their population has decreased over that course of time. Jefferson is about 8.79. Commerce is growing at about 9.62% over that time frame. And even Forsyth County, which we hear about all the time, at 11%, is nothing close to where we are. And I have other data from systems that across the state that have been considered to be high growth. You look at counties around Savannah, like Bryan County, 9% over the last 5 years. Effingham County, 13%. Bullitt County, 4%. Dawson County, up north, where 400, where everyone is kind of moving, they're at 13% over the same time frame. We're growing more in 2 years than most systems are growing in 5 when they're growing. It's pretty startling. It's pretty clear that the evidence is there that we're growing really, really fast. And you knew that already. Sometimes we want to see things visually. You can see the bar graph there shows how we compare, and then the line graph shows our line is going up pretty quickly there, folks. And it's impressive what's happening here. Looking at it by school, you can see that at this point Jackson County has seen some really big growth at the high school. 75% change, 895 students increase from 2019 to 2024. You can see that North Jackson has grown 92% over that same period. Maysville, 35%. That's an impressive growth for little Maysville. West Jackson Elementary at 35%. Gum Springs at 40%. Even South Jackson down there at 14.63%. The growth is happening. And the last little piece here, and this map was actually updated today. I want to thank Joel Logan and Steve Cumbledge there with the Jackson County CIS. They really work hard for us at times and put some information into this map. The newest map, which I will share with you after this, and I apologize to Amanda. I gave her this in the morning, and then the new information came in, and I changed a bunch of stuff, but didn't share it with her, so that makes it hard for you to have it. So we'll make sure you get it. But the newest map, which is just very similar to this one, it actually has 63 residential developments that are happening in Jackson County at this point in time in our footprint, right, outside of Jefferson and Commerce City. 53 of those developments are in the Jackson County High School side of the county, and 10, which is a big increase actually, above 4, in the east side. So even the east side is starting to see development happening there in a way that has not happened in the past. The total number of units that these developments will include almost 9,000 units that are single-family or family-sized units. That does not include another 1,722 units that are 55 plus. So overall, the county has over 11,000 units that are in development or under construction at this time, with almost 9,000 of those being potentially units that would have students that would possibly join us. So the growth is definitely as real as you could possibly think it is, and we're excited for that. It's going to give us opportunities to try to meet the needs of the people that join us here in Jackson County. We're a place that people want to come. You heard that from the employment side, and we're hearing that from the residential side as well. And it's a challenge that we're excited to meet. At this time, if you have any questions, I'd love to answer those if I can. Yes, sir.
What's your estimate for the next 5 years?
I'll answer that one. I don't know that anyone can estimate that right now and give you a fair estimate. There's a number of factors that are involved in that estimate, whether that's interest rates. I think, we have to be very careful and cautious in that we do see all of these developments taking place. At the same time, we've all lived through the recession era where we had the housing market crash. And so the overbuilding of school, we just have to be very cautious on that. And so when you talk about estimating 5 years out, I don't know that anybody, if you went back and looked at the numbers back in 2018 when we had 7,900 students, if somebody would tell you we would be at 10.5 or 10.7 right now. And so you try to use the data that we've had from previous years and a rolling average, but I think it's really challenging for us to be able to forecast growth right now. And almost it's like you're taking it, and I'm looking at Martha in the audience. She and I talk pretty much every day. Some days we're registering 14 kids, and then 12 withdraw. And the transiency with housing, and going from, and another challenge is the single-family homes versus townhomes versus apartments. And, when people are building apartment complexes, do they have studio apartments? Do they have 1 bedroom? Do they have 2 bedroom? Or they have 3 bedroom? And so those are just things that I don't feel like I can give you a fair estimate sitting here today with probably more information than anybody else in the county has about this map. I'm sure Mr. Wester and I have looked at it more than anybody else has. I don't know that giving you a number is fair.
In other words, you don't want to scare us.
Well, I just don't know. It's just, you drive down 124 right now. Leave here and drive down 124 and go towards the Gum Springs area. And there's A-cell, D-cell lanes coming off of neighborhood after neighborhood after neighborhood. And how fast do they get infrastructure put in? How fast does roads get cut? How fast do houses go up? And so the challenge for us is national builders and their ability to build houses with such density and swiftness that we're not used to. And so that's just going to make it challenging for us in the next few years to be able to forecast. So I just don't feel comfortable with giving you a number because I don't think we're going to guess. But we're going to do our best to give us the best guess we can possibly give you. Sorry. Wish I had better. I wish I had a better guess, but
Right.
if I had to tell you,
I didn't want to guess this 5 years ago because you principal Jackson County.
Yes, sir.
5 years ago. Would you have guessed Jackson County in 5 years would have been this big?
We knew we were growing, not to this degree. So at that point in time, the growth was 3. If you look at the 5-year average, it's 5.86 for our county. But the 3-year average is 7.39, and we haven't even completed this year yet. Right? We're 6.25 before this year's even out. And so we see that the trend has been that the average is actually increasing off of that 5%. But once again, like in investing, right, they always give you that little disclaimer at the end, right? Future results aren't based off of past performance. You just don't know for sure exactly how it's going to play out. But the trends have been that our growth has been much higher than the areas around us, and the indicators are based off of the developments that are currently approved and in development, that this trend will probably continue, barring unforeseen things that may impact the people's ability to make those types of changes. So no promises, no guarantees, but the trends indicate that our growth is not going to stop today.
I fear that it's going to accelerate. I mean, from a,
9,000 units in planning right now.
so when I say I fear, I don't know that I think it's going to happen quickly. I mean, based on this map and what I've seen with how fast certain neighborhoods have sold homes inside of our community right now.
Well, and we weren't dealing with the national companies 5 years ago like we are now.
Correct, not to this level, absolutely not.
Well, one thing that we talked about in that meeting last March, there were some of these developments that are on this map on there as well. And with me being in the building industry, I looked at some of those, and there's one out on 60 that I won't name the company specifically, but they bought those lots and they renovated the entrance of that neighborhood, and if I would have been the gambling person, I would have bet you anything that they would have already had 25 houses up, and they had to build one. So
Yeah.
there's another one over on Gum Springs and Jackson Trail, but that thing's totally curved and ready to go, and they haven't built houses yet. So it's impossible to project because they have developments, but there's no houses up yet.
Sure.
But as our system grows and we keep making changes here, and the teachers and everybody, and you guys do a great job, that's gonna make growth happen more. We have teachers, I mean, that are wanting to come here, so our success is gonna breed more growth. So it's a challenge, but it's also a good thing too, an investment for what we're doing as an organization. So.
Absolutely. Yes, sir, you're correct. Any other questions for me? Appreciate it. Thanks so much, everybody.
Good evening, Board. Well, luckily, with all this growth and all this news and all of the facilities that we're going to need to house all this growth, our SPLOST is looking great. It was up over every measure, over 1.3 million for this month's collection. And again, it's up over last month, last year, and it's also increased our average, our 12-month average, to where it is up to 1.18 now. So we're getting closer to that $1.2 million 12-month average. And while we're talking about SPLOST, I did want to go ahead and mention that we just completed our SPLOST performance audit for last fiscal year and got the final report, and everything was clean, no findings, no issues, no comments, no recommendations. So it was a good process, and that's kudos to everybody that's involved. And if we want to look at our general fund, you can see that we have collected almost 90% of our property tax revenue, which is amazing at this point in the year. So that, I mean, some counties don't ever reach that collection amount. So again, I've mentioned it before, kudos to our tax commissioner and her team for getting this money in and getting it to us quickly. And our overall revenue collection is above where we are at this point in the year, which is, again, partly due to the property tax collections. And if you look at our expenditures, you can see that they are a little bit above where we are at this point in the year as far as the percent completed. But as you're aware, there was some expenses that happened during the month of January that were very, very important to the district and future growth. And as the year goes, then those expenses will level out and we'll be more back in line with where we are at that point in the year. And then if you want to look at fund balance, you can see that we're a little bit lower than where we were at this time last year. Again, that has to do with timing of property tax collections, but also has to do with the purchase that we had last month. Any questions?
Thank you.
Mr. Farmer, you're up.
Dr. Brown Board, I appreciate the opportunity to come and just give you a little bit of a facilities update. I'm used to being introduced by Mr. Schofield, so kind of missed that tonight, but we'll go ahead and get started. Just gives me more time to speak. No, but just some of the highlights that I wanted to go through with you. From a construction standpoint, everything is moving along as it should be. One of the highlights that we have is, I guess we talk about brick and how fast the brick process is going up. So just to give you an example, last week for a 6-day total, 43,000 brick were laid. Compared that to Legacy for a week's time, compared to 22 to 23,000. So that just shows you the dedication of Carol Daniel, their subs, Southern A&E, and everyone working together, and the support from our board and Dr. Brown in making sure that we continue to set goals at Heroes, reach them, and exceed timelines. So I do appreciate everyone involved in that, and very proud to report that today. Also, too, a couple other things that you'll see in the pictures. The basketball goals have been installed, and you'll see kind of the, if we can go to that slide. The paint, the basketball goals have been installed. The dry fall on the ceiling has been installed. So you're starting to see some of the finishing touches going in some of these areas, which is very exciting when you walk in the building. Just some of the pictures that you'll see in the media center, the soffit being done, ceiling grid in a typical classroom, some of the things that are up and coming. We do have our 80% of inspection coming up in April. So very excited about that date and look forward to what that brings. Power is scheduled to be on mid-February, if not toward the end of February, which in turn helps us with the startup of the equipment to make sure that we can troubleshoot that earlier. Also, the crane, is Ed had mentioned, is out in place, and they started setting the big HVAC units on top of the roof Wednesday. So a lot of exciting things happening, and just moving forward and really taking advantage of the good weather that we've had in the last week or two. Any questions?
Were you on a job when they were laying brick at Legacy Knoll?
No, sir, I can't take credit for that.
I was just wondering what the difference was.
No, I wished I could say I was, but I did visit, but I didn't stay in, so I can't take any credit for that.
So if they're doubling laying brick, David, is that because you're there? That's what I'm getting at.
He's trying to pay your company.
I appreciate that, but I'm gonna have to give that credit to Carol Daniel and Mike Smith. So, but I do appreciate that.
Maybe weather.
Yeah.
No, I do. We do keep in touch, and I appreciate once again that communication that we have with our contractor and our architects and everyone involved, and they're doing an excellent job. So, any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have a need to go into executive session this evening, talk about personnel. If I can have a motion to go into executive session, please. All in favor? Aye. All right. We're done with executive session. If I can have a motion to come back from executive session, please. In a second. All in favor? Aye. All right. And then we do need to vote on the personnel list. If I can have a motion to approve Mrs. Todd's personnel list as we saw it. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Have a good evening.